Hello. But to simplify this is kind of an explanation to something you're going to hear me say in here in a little bit. And that's your base. When I refer to base, I usually refer to it as one combination. And then I kind of can go off that. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you ain't gonna know. So once I did the whole video, I was like, oh wait. So base is one combination, okay? But it's actually two. Base is a mirrored combination, like 1, 2, okay? And then the other side of the mirror of it, 2, 1. There's a split in between, okay? 1, 2, 2, 1. Doesn't mean you make a space or a split. I'm just saying that when I refer to base, it is your 1, 2, and then your mirrored 2, 1, okay? And you're gonna pick either 1, 2 or 2, 1. You're not gonna do both at the same time yet. And don't take 1, 2 literal. It's just an example. Because I'll create your own, okay? But what you need to understand is when 1, 2 and 2, 1, what I'm referring to is if someone throws a left side something at you or a right side something at you. Depends on if you slip to the left, slip to the right, you bob, weave, it all depends on which way you're going. I'm trying to keep it super basic for you, so don't overthink it. Just think when I'm talking about base, it's two combinations, but I refer to them as 1, 1, 2, and 2, 1. What they do to you and what you do to them or against them is what will define pulling out 1, 2 or 2, 1. Tip time. Basically, when you're first starting, like with combinations, and that's what this video will have to deal with, is combinations, how to find your style, okay? There's so many combinations out there. There's only a handful that do everything. That's kind of your job over the years, is to figure out what flows, what works for everything. Typically, those combinations that are styles mirror themselves, okay, at the base level. Let's start out this way. 3 punch, max when you're first starting. Just 3 punch combination. I'm gonna give you an example for a 2 punch. That way you can understand what I mean by mirror. So you want like 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1. Okay, it's forward and reverse. You can throw it from switch or not. Okay, north, south, orthodox, whatever. That's what you're looking for, something that mirrors. The reason why you want something that mirrors is because if it mirrors, then it works off all your defense, all your slips, all your bobs and weaves, all your defense. You can fire a mirrored combination off anything, okay? Any way you're dealing with an opponent. And it's a base to build around. Basically, simplify it for yourself. Find a base and play with that base and bring all these other things that you're learning into it and see if it works in your base. Basically, it's finding your style. So, find a 3 punch combination that mirrors itself or goes forward and reverse. Figure out how to make it work in all your defense, all your slips, bobs, weaves, but find a mirrored combination. And like I said, combinations are styles. There's only a few that work as a whole. Everything else is just kind of like a bonus or situational. But you're kind of finding your base, and that's the way you got to think, okay? Then it'll help you improve. It'll help you streamline what you're doing, fit things in. You'll treat it more like a puzzle than just a bunch of, a buffet. And each time you go up, you're getting something new on your plate, you know, because you didn't try this, so I'm going to try that. And if you think this way, okay, a base, a simple 3-punch combination that mirrors itself. Once you add in footwork, angles, head movement, all the situations and different situations you're going to create off that one combination base that mirrors itself is going to turn into a complete style that you can launch so much from. And I'm sticking with punching just for now. Tip wise, we're talking about finding a combination that mirrors itself. Skipping ahead, make sure you figure that out first. And then what you want to do is what we call starters. Okay, you want to find like a starter and opener that leads to that combination. Okay, let's say like I gave you the example, 1 2 2 1. Now let's say if you're gonna start it, it'd be like you're gonna start every combination with a jab and end with a jab. Okay, so it'd be 1 1 2. But starters are usually like two hit combinations. Okay, they can be punches, kicks, whatever. I'm just keeping it within the realm of punching. That way you guys can kind of connect the dots. So once you find your base combination, then you want to find your starters. Okay, because your base might be kind of more advanced, or maybe you're trying to do something crazy. Starters, openers, to lead to that base. It's like I can't go just 1 2 2 1 1 2 2 1, and that's technically not what you're doing. It's just you need a way to lead to that combination, that base you built. So you need a way to open into it. So now find 2-punch combination, okay, or single, doesn't matter. Single works. It depends on what you choose as your base that mirrors, but you basically now want to come up with at least 3 starter combinations, okay, for your base combination that mirrors itself. But basically keep it so simple, especially when you're first starting. You're just looking for 3 starters. How would you like to start to set up that combination now that you figured out that mirrors? Because fighting is like taking turns, and eventually you want to learn how to take all the turns. But basically, find your starters, 3 starters, 1 2-punch that lead to your base. This is more of like a helpful tip to get you, down a path to your style, finding your style. I'm just trying to give you like insight and thought processes, IQ stuff. I'm just trying to help you kind of figure it out and set some sort of a goal for yourself. So, 2-punch, 1-punch starter to your base combination that mirrors, which is technically going to become like your style, something that you always go to for now as you're learning, and then it'll evolve or you'll turn it into something else. And that's the great thing about this, because you can take someone else's, and trust me, if you talk to other fighters, they have a base, they just don't tell you what it is, and they switch their base, because over the years they're going to have, like your beginners, you're going to have like one base, but over 10 20 30 years you're going to have like 6 or 7 bases that you can constantly switch in between at any time within rounds. And that's where I'll get further in later on. But right now you're just trying to figure out your first base. It's like you're trying to learn your first style. Anyways, so we started with your base, okay? Then we went to your starters. Your base is a combination that mirrors itself. Your starters are like 2-punch, 1-punch combinations that lead to your base. Okay, now this video is your finishers. Okay, so if your combination lands, okay, your base combination, so you landed your starter that led you to your base, okay, then once your base is done, then you got your finisher. Same thing, find 3 finishers, okay, at least 1 or 2 punch combinations. You know, like I was saying, the last one, start with a jab, end with a jab. So let's say if you're to add it to your base, okay, is to keep it simple. Okay, just think about your starter, you know, your 1-1, 2, and then you landed the 2, so you need your finisher, your out, or your 2-hit combination that is going to be your finisher. You know, maybe you're going to fake them with another right, or you're going to throw a hook and then an uppercut. You're going to do something, okay? Or you're just going to frame out and get away. It doesn't have to be a combination. You can literally mix everything in with this later. But right now, make it a combination. You know, you need at least a 1 or 2 punch starter, at least a 3 punch base, and then a 2 punch finisher, and you need 3 of them. Okay, your base is always the same for now. Don't try and learn other bases, just find one you like and stick with it for a long time, because this can go on to grow into a style that you can add so much to. Even though you're just doing one combination, like I was saying, footwork, angles, situations, what they're feeding you, what you can feed back. One combination turns into months and years of content. It is a style within itself that you can grow. That sums up this line, okay? Your base that mirrors, your starters, 1 or 2, your finisher, 1 or 2, and just try and keep it as punches for now, and then later we'll talk about like knees and kicks and all that stuff, adding into it. This is just to help you simplify, to lead into that. Footwork plays a major key in a lot of this stuff, but right now, especially if you're learning right now, stick with your what you're learning and trying to apply this process to that, because it doesn't matter what footwork you're learning, it's all the same. Footwork's the same everywhere, it's no different anywhere. Just figure out how to add it with what you're already doing, and don't worry about, well, what about your footwork, how does it work with this? You'll figure out how it works for you, okay? That's it. I'm trying to keep it short. Work on finishers now. Okay, last one went starters, okay, that led to your base that mirrors itself, and then into your finishers. Now what you want to do is kind of play around with it. We all want to rip someone's head off. Try and do them at different tempos. Try and speed them up, try and slow them down. Try and do some that are just touch with a power. So do the same thing you're already doing, but try and play with the tempo. Speed it up here somewhere, make it softer here, make it harder here, okay? And then another tip I would give you on how to advance it a little bit more to where it opens up into other things is like your starter, okay, will be defined by your base. Let's say if your base starts with a body shot, okay, well, you're gonna need your starter to end something like high, okay, to get their guard up. So you got to start thinking about the reactions that it's going to create. And then as well as your finisher, what is your last punch mirrored on your base, or your last kick or your last knee. If you got to start thinking about where would they be open, which sometimes it's hard to visualize until you've been doing this a long time, but first video that I did for tip wise as far as the uppercut. Okay, I target here, but if you punch someone in the head, it's going to get their head up. I mean, that's why it's down. If our head's up and we get hit, our head goes really back. Okay, but if it's down, it comes here when you get hit. That's why we do lots of strength exercises for our neck. That way we can absorb punches. And when we get hit, we're not going and Pez dispensing. With your chin down, when you get hit, at least it only comes up here. But if your chin's up, then it's going to go up there. So having it low gives you there instead of there. Anyways, you got to figure out, you know, let's say if you throw a body for your last one, you know, you're probably going to want to come high, or depending on what type of body shot is it, you know, is it a shovel, you know, then you're probably, let's say if your last punch in your base is a shovel punch to the body, you know, right or left or whatever, then you're probably going to want to come up with an uppercut for your finisher, you know, an uppercut and then a jab out, or, you know, you can take it into so many different areas. But you just got to think of situations, reactions that you're creating, and you also need to now start thinking about your openings. And that's where the next video will lead into. But I hope that helps you. Thanks for listening. Have a good night.